All right, we are live.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Battle Creek Public Schools Board of Education meeting. It is Monday, June 24th. It is 5:35. We will start out with the budget hearing, and we have a secretary to call the roll, please.
Dr. Alicia Johnson.
Here.
Dr. Nicole Perry.
Here.
Dr. LaValle.
Here.
Nathan Graycheck. Dr. McClinney.
Here.
Charlie Fulbright.
Present.
Patty Fulgray.
Present. Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, considerations of additions and deletions.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Support. It's been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee McClinney, that we approve the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Moving right down to the budget agenda. A budget hearing. Dr. Carter?
Mr. Mott will approach
Okay.
and walk us through budget documentation.
Before we actually get started on the recommendations for the budget, there are a few questions that came up from the last meeting. So I'm just going to go through those and clarify some of those real quick.
Okay.
ESSER funds that are being used for capital projects, those are being allowed to be extended for 15 months. So we need to have our plans encumbered and put on the books that yes, we intend to spend that, but we do have 15 months to actually spend it. So I've talked to Josh about that, and everything that we need will be done before then.
So the clarification is for the construction projects, but everything else is September 30th.
Everything else is September 30th. All right, there are some questions on the budget reductions and unfunded requests. To clarify on that, the items that were listed on that budget reduction sheet, those were actually new requests that we couldn't fund. So, we're funding at the same level that we have this year in the 23-24, but those were just new requests that we're just unable to fund at this time. We do have a new tool that we just learned about that's going to help us make strategic decisions about different programs in the future, and that is called the Smarter School Spending Strategic Abandonment Tool. We will use that in the future as we go through our budget process. Our projected fund balance for the end of this year, or for the end of 22-23, was actually 33.79, and our actual fund balance for this year, you can see all the comparisons up on the board. 32.16 is a projected budget, and really it's only just like a 1.5% reduction in the fund balance. So we're still on track in the 32 range. There's a question on security cameras. Yes, those are rather expensive. The quote we received was for 3 years, $1.5 million for each of the 3 years. So it is a heavy lift on that. We're still looking at ways to be able to fund that. Property sales, we had a couple questions on that, and we do have a couple of the properties that are in process, but nothing's been actually sold or closed on yet. So when that stuff does come in, then we'll make you aware of that, but it just hasn't been sold yet. The South Hill property, I think, Charlie, you asked about that, and that was actually the old Southeastern building. It's now a church.
It's
on that one.
King Builders.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, so.
Thank you. I knew
That's okay.
Southeastern,
South
I didn't
Hill's-
know South Hill. I didn't know.
South Hill's new to me.
Yes.
Okay.
South Hill.
Long before my time. On page 18, I don't think your pages are numbered, but there was a question on the OEC and the Math and Science Center fund balance. And the fund balance through the new year with the two combined is actually projected to be a $361,000 fund balance. They won't be in a deficit. I think to actually increase the fund balance, well, it wasn't a very big number, but they won't be in a deficit. But the two are combined together, so that's the way we present that fund.
Can you pause on that one, Brenda?
Yep.
Because I don't think that's the question.
Okay.
So I think that one's there.
All right.
Let me find that budget. would be on the OEC funds. There we go. Math and Science Center, outdoor education. Budget deficit is 470,141. Is that correct?
That's with them combined, and then there will be a transfer in for whatever is needed.
But that's the number when, Trustee LaValle, you were asking where did the 300 come? If you notice from adopted, it was 322,000. It's projected next year at 470,000 as a deficit.
But I see that as combined is what Brenda was saying with the Math Science Center.
Correct. The majority of that, however, sits with the Outdoor Education Center.
Any thoughts, questions on that? Okay, we talked about the L4029, and the bond debt, the debt bond for 21 came down from 0.81 down to 0.675. So there was a small reduction in that, and in 2007 there was a small increase in that. There was a question about endowments. We have several endowments, however, these are one-time funds that we've received and they can't be used for recurring costs.
What do you mean by current costs?
Yeah, recurring costs. Like we can't use them to pay teachers, we can't use them to pay the maintenance.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
But you said recurrent costs or current costs?
Recurring costs, they can't be used for
Recurring?
recurring costs.
So can you give us an example what that can be used for? What it can be used for?
Well, there's some restrictions on some of them, and I'd have to
Okay.
look at them.
Okay.
I can certainly look into that.
Appreciate that.
Because, yeah, there's several of them, but some do have certain restrictions on them.
So add that, so one of the specific questions was around field trips. You can, but you would be able to do it one time. That's what recurring and non-recurring.
Right.
Because if you continue to fund them, you will spend all that money and you can't recoup it. So the things that we use it for, let's talk about A.O. Jones. A.O. Jones might be that a family needed eyeglasses, or we wanted to cover charitable union, go there and get some clothing. So it's those one-time costs. And another part of A.O. Jones goes towards teachers taking classes in the summer. We have Willard Trust, that is an endowment, or it's more of a fund. And so we use that to supplement some of the outdoor education expenses, but we try not to do it as every year we're gonna do that, because at the end of the time, we won't have any money left.
Okay.
So those are the types of one time. We may ask to fund a community project that we will say, okay, here's $5,000 to go towards a community project. That's the one time for us to partner with them.
So we will use an endowment for that then?
We can,
Yeah, you
yes.
can. Okay. Thank you.
That helps.
So I have a question on that, and I'm sure you guys have explained it before. Sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my head around reoccurring when it comes to, and I keep going back to this, but only because it scares me so much, but the 21st century, so an endowment couldn't do that for 1 year, like could it do it for 1 year, and then since we're gonna reapply next year, hopefully we'll get it, but could we do it for that 1 year? Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel good, because, okay.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
In the previous meeting, I mistakenly quoted the 20% fund balance for the board policy. It is indeed 10%. Grant availability, there's a question about if they're longer grants, how long they go for. Some grants could be for more than 1 year. That's not the usual, but it depends on how the grants were legislated. So we have to follow whatever feds or the state comes up for the grants. And we do have to apply yearly for most of the grants. Unused buildings, yes, we do have some expenses that are rolled into the unused buildings for the mere fact we have phone lines there that we need to have for the alarm systems. We also did budget for contingency things like broken pipes, boarding up the windows after there's a break and that kind of stuff. So we did budget for that stuff. As we still own them, yes, we need to maintain them in the proper fashion until they are sold. The MASB memberships, yep, we did increase that for the budget, so that's included
Can you read
there.
the full questions? Do you have the full questions that you're referencing up there? Do you mind reading them and then answering them? Because I'm not, I don't know that I've
Okay.
seen all the questions and I'm not tracking everything.
Yep. All right. The unused buildings. Unused buildings, there were telephone projections for each building. And why do we have telephone expenses for Washington, Urbandale, and Southwestern? Because we have to, like I said, have the alarm system active there. Chromebooks, I haven't got to that one, but I will. And under the security section, again, there's projected for Washington, same for electricity, and we need to maintain those since we still own them at this point. And then, like I said, the other things for Urbandale, Washington, and Southwestern, they had miscellaneous supplies projected, again, for those contingency type things. Question about Chromebooks, because there was a large number in the budget for Chromebooks. The Chromebooks, we do have a warranty on them. I'm not sure of the details, but I know that we do have a warranty. But we also have a situation where Chromebooks have a short life, and the budget just is replacing those after they do their life cycle. So, I think that covered all the questions. If not, somebody let us know, and we'll get back to you.
Any other questions for Brenda?
Excuse me, Charlie. The 24th Street property that had been sold previously,
No, I think that one is still,
that was to the Gardner brothers.
yes, 56,000. I do remember that from last year.
So where did that money go to? I think there was some thinking to see if it was spelled out due to the deed of the property and needed to be spent on certain funds.
I recall it coming in, and I think Josh had me split it between two funds, but I will look into that.
Thank you.
Yes, 56, that does ring a bell. Okay.
Trustee Fulbright?
Back to this was at the beginning of your talk, the security cameras, you said like 1.5 million each year or something like that, right? So where does that, I'm looking at the maintenance section and it says 60 cameras at $300 per camera, 18,000. So what is the difference between that and the 1.5 million? This says 18,000, but is it because the one you were talking about are brand new and these are just replacements?
Maintenance versus total replacement
Got it.
and upgrade.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Brenda, and thank your team for us. Appreciate it.
So are we doing the recommendation to approve at this point? Okay. So you have in your board packets copies of the budgets that we did for year end and for the upcoming new year. The recommendation is that these be adopted as they are presented. If you have any questions on any of them, please ask now, but except this is the same budget that we had prepared.
So our discussion right now is doing what is new business coming up later?
It is a new business in the regular meeting.
I couldn't hear you.
It is in the new business in the regular meeting to approve this.
Oh, true, but right now we haven't adjourned the budget hearing.
Right. Now we're just talking.
Okay, somebody tell me what to do.
If there are any questions about the budget, you can ask them now prior to moving into the next one. It's really to make sure there's clarity.
Trustee LaValle, you have any other questions?
Yeah, I think I do.
All right, go ahead.
I guess you'd mentioned about that smarter tool, school spending strategic abandonment tool. It's a long one. And with those 9 recommendations came up for cuts for this year's budget, what, so you're saying that that tool really wasn't used for the budget items?
So I think what we wanted to clarify, because she was trying to answer that question, and I did try to support Brenda with this, but to be clear, there are no cuts this year. So that's why the tool was not used. Does everybody understand that? Because I think, Patty, you had the same question. There aren't any cuts this year. We're actually funding the budget at the same level it was funded last year. That tool, what we put up there these were requests that people wanted to do new or more of that we were unable to say yes to.
I thought the slide at the last meeting said something about budget cuts, and those were those 8 recommendations.
Budget, I think it said.
Budget reductions.
I think it was titled budget reductions.
Yes. So, and what we meant by that is these are the things that people are asking for that we just can't fit in yet at this point. But I really want to be clear that there are no budget cuts this year. We are funding at the same level next year. But what we need to do is begin to use that strategic abandonment tool to determine what is cut if we're going to put those other 9 recommendations into the budget.
Because it was just my assumption that summer school is not going to be useful ever again. And maybe I'm using the wrong words, but that, for instance, the kindergarten success program is just awesome for us. We have proven data that our kids are retaining if they attend that 5-week program in July. And they want to cut that?
No. No. There were no recommendations to cut anything. What you saw was that summer school isn't funded yet because we're still waiting for the rest of the budget to be released. And I think you even said that in your notes regarding we're waiting for the federal, for the state to make their budget recommendations to see where we might fit that in.
So as that slide says, budget reductions in the future.
Yes. Okay.
Budget
I
reduction.
think that's good clarity because I think several people left thinking we were
Right.
making cuts, and we are not.
Unfunded requests.
Unfunded requests is what it was called.
So that slide should have been unfunded requests.
Well, it was actually titled budget reduction and unfunded request.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, say we didn't do any reductions. And you can see on the fund balances, like I said, we're at 33.79 on the audited statements for last year, and we're proposing a 32.16. So very minimal.
So I don't recall if we talked about it last meeting, but with the unfunded requests, when will you go back and look at those for a decision? Because if we have 32%, and we only need 10, not saying we go down to 10, but is there a process where you go back, look at those unfunded requests and say, okay, these are the things we can fund because we have some extra funding right now and these are priorities? Is that something that you all do?
Yeah, so we give grace to Rena as she's learning this role. So I'm tapping in with her to make sure she feels comfortable.
Absolutely.
But we absolutely will do a budget adjustment. We talked about November. So we'll come in, look at our money. By that time, we should be closer to a full audit. Remember, our audit happens around November. Is that correct, Brenda?
August.
Yeah, so
starts.
so once
But we don't
that-
have their numbers until the end of October.
End of October, we get that final audit. We know we're projected toward this huge thing. We'll come around and ask the board, can we reserve some of that for the security cameras? That's like the hot topic right now. And we also want to couple that with the beginning of the strategic planning process so that we can target and make sure that the board's priorities are the way in which we're having conversations about this.
And we will do budget amendments, like you said, and we'll bring those amendments before the board. It's usually beginning of January.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, budget hearing is adjourned. Moving right along to our regular meeting. Meeting is called to order. We'll ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Dr. Alicia Johnson,
Here.
Dr. Nicole Perry,
Present.
Dr. Valley,
Here.
Nathan Graycheck, Art McClinney,
Still here.
Charlie Fulbright,
Here.
Patty Fulgray.
Present. We now have the introduction of the interpreters.
Same process.
Okay, moving right along. We'll now have the approval of the agenda considerations of additions or deletions.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright?
I move that we approve the agenda for the regular meeting as written.
It's been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee LaValle, that we approve the agenda. Any discussion?
It wasn't by LaValle, it's either McClenny or Dr. Johnson.
Okay. Approved by trustee McClenny, that we approve the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. We'll now move down to public comment. Battle Creek Public Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the community to express themselves on district matters. We have two opportunities on our agenda tonight for public comment. The Board of Education requests you fill out a public participation form with contact information. As you come to the microphone, please state your name. Each statement made by a speaker shall be limited to a 3-minute duration. If the speaker represents a group, the person will be given 5 minutes to speak. Battle Creek Public School Board of Education will listen, take comments, and questions under Okay. The chair will now entertain a motion for the consideration and approval of the following consent agenda items.
President Poole-Gray,
Yes, trustee LaValle?
I'd like to make a motion to consider the approval of the following consent agenda items. A, trust fund. B, minutes of the work session on May 13th, 2024, regular meeting on May 20th, 2024. C, bills for the month of May. D, personnel changes and recognition of retirees. E, the membership report. F, the finance report. And G, the L4029 tax rate request form.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee LaValle, supported by trustee Fulbright, that we approve the consent agenda items. Are there any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Dr. Perry?
I have a question. I just need clarification in the absence of our HR friends being here. Dr. Carter may be here. So I noticed the number of resignations under teachers and other staff members, and I know that the board through the tool that will be doing surveys. So is that in effect, and has that been sent to the folks that were on this personnel report, or do we have any data or information of why there were these resignations?
Yes, we do. So I will ask her to pull that survey. We actually have a better return rate
Good.
now. I think the last time I checked, it was like 30. And so going even back to some of those resignations, but I will ask Alexis to send us a report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Call for the question.
Did we get a second?
She was discussing.
Trustee Fulbright. Okay, it's been moved by trustee LaValle, supported by trustee Fulbright. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Moving right down to discussion, recognition of the 2023-2024 Battle Creek Public Schools staff retirements. Dr. Carter.
Yes, each year we want to recognize those individuals who have continued to give or who have given their service to Battle Creek Public Schools for a number of years, but have decided to make retirement their home. We are deeply appreciative of the following individuals' service to Battle Creek Public Schools and want to publicly thank them for all that they have done for the students, the staff, and the community. In the spirit of Demela, we recognize this evening Mr. Wes Seeley, who served with Battle Creek Public Schools for 10.4 years. Retired from the Director of Grants, Federal and State Programs with Adult Education. Mary Burlingame was a nurse for a long time, and she put in 20 years with Battle Creek Public Schools. Actually, 20.9, so let's call it 21 years with Battle Creek Public Schools. Miss Downey, many of you know Miss Downey, who was a long-term teacher at Valley View, but completed the last portion of her career as one of our virtual academy teachers, and we are recognizing her for 30 years of service. Ms. Tickner also completed her service with Battle Creek Public Schools as one of our virtual teachers and retired with 31 years of service. Thank you to Stephen Anderson from Special Education at Verona, 18.7 years. Ms. Sherry Heffron in our Food Service Department at Battle Creek Central High School and completed 27 years with us. Ms. Jamie Klein, the 4-5 Reach teacher at Battle Creek Area Math and Science Center, decided to retire this year, and we are grateful for her service of 5.7 years with Battle Creek Public Schools. Mr. David Downey, the PE teacher, is leaving Battle Creek Public Schools after 11.6 years. Mary Horn, a very special thank you to Miss Mary Horn, who has worked tirelessly for Battle Creek Public Schools in our Food Service Department for 31 years. Ron Anderson, a paraprofessional at Lamora, is retiring with 14.5 years. Aaron Bea, also with our Food Service Department, is retiring with 22.7 years. Keith Beach, a social studies teacher at Springfield, retired with 11.6 years. And Miss Stacy Belson, a longtime teacher of science at Springfield, retiring with 34.8 years. Shannon Cook Evans was one of our resource room teachers. She is retiring with 32 years of service to Battle Creek Public Schools. Rhonda Turner, retiring with 5.5 years. And Jennifer Beck, our esteemed academy coach at Battle Creek Central High School, retiring after 4.8 years with Battle Creek Public Schools. Thank you again to all of those teachers, staff members, food service, all of you who have done an amazing, wonderful job for Battle Creek Public Schools. We appreciate you, Demela.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. And happy retirement to those who were listed. Good job, well done. Okay, proposal to recognize Juneteenth as an official district holiday. Dr. Carter.
Yes, after several staff members approached me, I thought, that makes sense. I'm going to present this to the board. As we continuously strive to create an inclusive, respectful, and educationally rich environment for our students and staff, I'm writing to the board today to propose that Juneteenth be recognized as an official holiday within our school district's annual 12-month calendar. Juneteenth, celebrated on June 19th, commemorates the day in 1865 when enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas were informed of their freedom, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. This day is a powerful reminder of the long and arduous journey toward freedom and equality in our nation's history. It provides an opportunity for reflection, education, and celebration of African American culture and contributions to our society. By acknowledging Juneteenth as a district holiday, we will honor historical significance and promote cultural awareness and inclusivity. The recognition of Juneteenth aligns with our district's core values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it is a meaningful step in our ongoing efforts to build a district culture that respects and celebrates the diverse backgrounds of all students and staff. I recommend that the Board of Education approve the inclusion of Juneteenth as an official holiday in our annual 12-month calendar, starting with this upcoming school year that begins on July 1. This change will not only honor a pivotal moment in American history, but also demonstrate our district's dedication to fostering an environment of understanding and respect. Thank you for considering this proposal. I'm confident that this decision will positively impact our community and further our mission to provide an equitable and inclusive education for all of our students.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Okay, moving right down to reports and recommendations.
Madam President, I want to make a comment on that.
Yes, Dr. Perry?
I think it's great that this was brought forward. The comments I wanted to add is that it became a federal holiday, actually, in 2021. So that, among everything else that you said, is significant because we haven't had a new federal holiday since 1983. And that was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So it's an American holiday, as you emphasized, which I'm glad that it was emphasized as an American holiday because we don't add national holidays lightly. So it makes sense that that is something that we would add in there. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. Okay, any other comments? Okay, moving right down to reports and recommendations. 2024-2025 Chromebook order, Dr. Miller.
Hello all from afar, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
All right, yeah, me on the other end of this, the new boardroom thing this time, right? All right, so tonight, the first recommendation I bring you is for 960 Chromebooks to continue our refresh of our one-to-one program. That represents 560 Chromebooks for the secondary schools, 400 for the elementary. And we did receive quotes from Trafera, that is a vendor, that actually is beating the REMC bid price, the REMC bid save project right now. And so that's why the amount is to not exceed $286,720. That's actually the REMC bid pricing. And so depending on, you know, this project and your approval, that will determine if those devices from Trafera are still available and we can take advantage of that lower pricing. So why 960? 960 happens to represent actually a little less than 30% of the Chromebooks that are out there, and that's a fairly consistent replacement rate for all the districts that do the one-to-one Chromebook programs. We're actually about 30%, that number 560 at the secondary schools, but only about 22% at the elementary because we currently have Greg and the team, Tech Ops team, have identified about 250 Chromebooks that can be repaired, and they're working through that in their summer work right now. So they do a lot of summer work, obviously, for not just Chromebooks, but Chromebooks are a big part of that. So auditing that, making sure our carts are all ready, rewired, all those things. So that work's continuing, and then the plan is also to put those roughly 250 Chromebooks back into service for next year, so that lessens the amount that we need to order. As I mentioned before, the REMC Bid Save project helps school districts so that you don't have to go out, create RFPs for large purchases like that until we were able to use that pricing. I did highlight on the recommendation just a reminder of the work that we did last year to kind of reestablish Chromebook expectations in the classroom. That work is continuing. We've seen overall some really good improvement with that in the classrooms, and so we're going to continue that work. I left some links on the recommendation for you to see. I also included a spreadsheet that compares the prices between that vendor I mentioned, Trafera, and the REMC bid pricing if you're curious to see the savings. It's roughly, I'm going to just peek over here and I can share my screen if you really want to see it, but roughly about a $27,000 savings if we're able to take advantage of that quote that we have right now. Steps are to present it tonight, receive approval at the next board meeting, and then place that order as soon as we possibly can. Any questions on this one?
Any questions for Dr. Miller?
Madam President?
Yes, Trustee Fulbright?
If we approve it at our next meeting, then would these be in place before the school year?
That's the plan, and that's the hope. You know, we always run into supply issues. Last year was very tight. The goal was to obviously do this and bring this forward earlier, but we need an approved 24-25 budget to be able to do that kind of thing. So hopeful that this will be approved and we can place that order as soon as possible. I know Trafera has these devices on hand right now. That was the other reason we sought out the quote from them. We went through REMC last year, and that was part of the delay. That vendor did not have as many on hand as they said they had, but Trafera right now, I have a number from them of what they've got on hand. It's less than what we are planning to order. So I'm hopeful that by the time we have approval that we can place that order and get those in time.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more.
Go right ahead.
So with the ones that are being repaired, and the ones that potentially we're ordering once we approve this, would we get a 1-to-1 ratio back again, or is it still going to be short and not enough?
Yeah, we're inching closer, and we're hoping that, you know, so in the past, we and this was big part of the Chromebook expectation reset, right? Is that we were hearing that we were quite a bit lower. I did this amount that I'm requesting tonight is a reduced amount based on just kind of an overall sensitivity to the budget, and this is thin, right? We're running the line thin on this, and so I do put in kind of, you know, a disclaimer in the recommendation paragraph that as we go through the rest of the summer and complete our audit, we want to have some room in the budget to be able to do some supplemental orders during the school year if we need those. Like last year, for example, Valley View had 2 additional classrooms added that they didn't have the year before. So we just needed to, instead of trying to shuffle around devices and cobble together carts, we were able to order just 2 carts for those new classrooms at Valley View. That's the type of flexibility that we're trying to move forward with as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. 2024-2025 staff laptops, Dr. Miller.
Yeah, so this is a replacement cycle again. This is specifically for the teacher laptops, so not the admin laptops that we moved to. They're basically the same model, but the admin laptops have the number keyboard off to the side. This specifically is for teachers. We did not have to replace as many as we thought we did, or we were going to last year. So basically what we have are Lenovo ThinkPads that are out there that are roughly 4 to 5 years old. And so as teachers report issues with those, the techs go in and determine what the issues are, and if they're age of, you know, related to the age of the device and its end of life, then they get a replacement. And so we need a big pile of those for next year because we didn't run into many replacements this year, and we purposely didn't order a lot last year of the staff or the teacher laptops. We know we're going to have a whole bunch that we need to have ready right for new teacher orientation, and so that's part of this 100, and this just is the year that we need to refresh a little bit more than normal on the staff laptops.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Miller.
Well, you're welcome. Nice to sort of see you.
Okay, moving down to Battle Creek STEM Lego Education, Greg Bish.
On behalf of Greg and Christian, Miss Manley, I was asked to step in. So they are looking to strengthen and create a little more rigor in the STEM curriculum by adding on the Lego program. The goal, she wrote, because she was unable to be with us tonight, the goal of the coding program is to begin to build the robot component back in. And Lego comes with ready-made curriculum and materials for students to engage immediately. This is also in direct response to the students' requests for more hands-on engaging opportunities to expand their STEM understanding. The proposal is for 60 sets, which is a 2-to-1 ratio. So they will focus on one on 7th grade and one on 8th grade each semester. Given the cost, this proposal covers first semester, and the plan is to come back to the district for further support to support it in the second semester, depending upon where our budgeting are. The training will focus on those teachers who are teaching Lego. Ms. Manley and the STEM coordinator and the engineering specialists will also be trained to add this in to the curriculum. There's a lot of other details I didn't understand.
And I geek. Any other questions for Dr. Carter?
Madam President,
Yes, Dr. Perry?
I'm curious, so when looking at the attachment with the Lego, when it's breaking out the curriculum, it talks about grade levels 1 through 5, pre-KK. Do we have plans of extending this beyond STEM, or is this only for STEM?
Today, I can answer that the only plan is STEM
Okay.
at this point. I have heard no other conversations about any other grade level, but I will reach back to that group to see if there are any other thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would be like a plan or budget to have it fall through. I don't know that.
My immediate response, my immediate thinking after you ask that question is, how might this fit with our REACH program? But I don't know that any conversations have happened in that space.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, moving right along. Okay, WK Prep Gym Floor Refinishing, Josh Bowman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So given the construction pause at Northwestern, we need additional space for middle school sports. This recommendation before you today is to completely refinish the gym floor at Northwestern to provide that floor with a playable, aesthetically pleasing surface so we can continue to use that. The process includes complete sanding of the existing floor, complete sanding of the existing game lines, all the way down to the bare wood. We'll refinish that with 2 coats of poly, and we'll put some coat base on it, and it'll look brand new as it did the day it was installed. So, to ensure competitive pricing, we contacted 3 local flooring contractors, and we recommend that the Board of Education approve Floor Care Concepts in the amount of $21,960.36 to provide all labor and materials necessary to refinish the floor at WK Prep.
Okay, you said Northwestern.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask that, I was like,
That's gonna be a brand new floor.
Northwestern on the brain.
We
We knew what you were talking
A
about.
lot of stuff going on right now.
That's okay.
That's okay. Any questions?
Madam President?
Yes, Dr. Perry?
I have one question. So I understand who you're recommending, but their quote wasn't as detailed as the others, so are they gonna be painting like the logo and all that stuff on there like the other
Yes, so we'll
vendors?
put a Bearcat in the center.
Okay.
We'll have the main basketball court, the 2 auxiliary basketball courts, and then the main volleyball court we painted.
Okay.
There's not enough room to do 2 auxiliary volleyball courts. It's not long enough. So,
Yes, Trustee
Do you
LaValle?
think it'll be, do you need approval before tonight, or can you wait till that first?
yeah, at this point, it doesn't
Monday,
matter.
July?
It's just a matter of securing the labor, right? So they can't do that until mid-August.
Okay,
So we're not expecting this to be done until mid-September, unfortunately.
okay, thank you.
And we're just a little slower to draw. So.
Any other questions?
So this is for middle school sports for those who will be going to Springfield now? Okay, so help me understand.
So unfortunately, I don't know those details.
Okay.
Those are,
This is the WK Prep Gym.
This is the WK Prep Gym.
It's for STEM. So the STEM middle school has.
Oh, the STEM middle school across the, okay.
Yes.
All right. Northwestern threw me off. I was like, wait, what?
My fault.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Any other questions? Clarifications?
I think it'll be amazing that the middle school students will be real close to the courts offered.
And when this gets finished, you will be amazed at the difference.
I'm sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down to Chartwell's Food Service Contract, Brenda DeMont.
All right, in your packet, you have your prep for the Chartwell's contract to be renewed. The state of Michigan requires that we do this every 5 years, and this was the 5th year that we have to do this. We went out to bid. We had 2 companies respond. One was Chartwell's, our current, and the other one was Taher, which is another company, but they're not located in Michigan. Chartwell's has been the district's food service provider for over 30 years, and our current, Michelle, our current director, has been with the district for 13 years. Chartwell's has been a great partner with the district and has always provided the district great service and pricing while adhering to the guidelines by the state, which are quite strict. The selection committee consisted of Herb and myself. We met with both companies, did a walkthrough. We ended up selecting Chartwell's for the 4 reasons listed: their ability to serve a district of our size, which they've done for so long, the continuance of meeting the state and health guidelines. The state comes out and does on-site visits, and I haven't seen any health department or recommendations from the state. Pricing, Chartwell's had the lower bid of the 2 responding food service companies. And fund balance management, and this is one that's been really critical to the district. Chartwell's is very effective managing the operations, and they've had excess fund balance, which has allowed us to refurbish many of the kitchens in the district. So that was a big part of our discussion there. So my recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the contract in the total amount of $3,287,737.
Any questions?
What's the length of that contract?
We renew it each year, but it's a 5-year contract.
Is that 5 year?
Yeah, we just
Okay,
go through an
thank
annual
you.
addendum process.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much, Brenda. Moving down to public comment. Thank you. Okay. New business. The chair will now entertain a motion to consider to approve the schedule of our monthly board meetings. Those are all in our packets.
President Poole Gray.
Yes, Trustee LaValle?
I'd like to make a motion to consider the schedule of monthly board meetings for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year.
It's been moved by Trustee LaValle, supported by Dr. Johnson, that we approve the schedule of the monthly board meetings. Any discussion?
I'd just like to make a note that the 29th of July is the launch of the strategic plan, and so we tried to line it up with one of our regular meetings.
July 29th.
So we will have our consultant here on that day.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Move down to consideration to approve the Juneteenth as an official district holiday.
Madam President,
Yes, Dr. Perry?
I would move that we consider to approve Juneteenth as an official district holiday.
Support.
It's been moved by Dr. Perry, supported by Trustee LaValle, that we consider to approve Juneteenth as an official district holiday. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Moving down to 2023-2024 General Fund Final Budget Amendment.
Madam President,
Yes, Trustee Fulbright?
I was gonna say it. I move that we approve the 2023-2024 General Fund Final Budget Amendment.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Fulbright, supported by Trustee LaValle, that we approve the 2023-2024 General Budget Final Budget Amendment. Is there any discussion?
I would just say it's so appreciated of our finance office for the great work that is being done to wrap up this present school year, as well as looking forward to the future. But just excellent work and kind of tough circumstances, but it's on paper and that feels good and so appreciated.
All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. We'll now move down to 2023-2024 Supplemental Fund Final Budget Amendments.
President Poole.
Yes,
I
Trustee
move
Perry?
to approve.
Not Trustee Perry, Trustee Johnson. Dr. Johnson.
That's okay. I move to approve the 2023-2024 Supplemental Fund Final Budget Amendments.
Support.
It's been moved by Dr. Johnson, supported by Trustee LaValle, that we approve the 2023-2024 Supplemental Fund Final Budget Amendments. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Moving down to 2024-2025 Preliminary General Budget Fund.
President Poole Gray.
Yes, Trustee LaValle.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2024-2025 preliminary general fund budget for Battle Creek Public Schools.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee LaValle, supported by Dr. Johnson, that we approve the 2024-2025 preliminary general budget. Is there any discussion?
Not so much a discussion, but the comment is that I am so happy to see where our fund balance is at this time, because as Mr. McClenny, Mr. Kraychuk has seen over the past few years, it hasn't always been that rosy. In the meantime, I do know the history of the district always wanted to spend a lot of that fund balance. I think we have a good crew in place that will sustain this balance as we go forward. But I would just mention that it is possible, because this is a healthy fund balance right now. And I just think that even if it was just a one-time use, which I think is very fiscal, conservative thinking, we need to enjoy that ability to spend a little bit of the fund balance. And yes, the auditors really request that districts are healthy when they have a minimum of 15% fund balance. We've been consistent in that in the last couple of budget years. But right now, to see it at 34.21 with a possibility of it ending up as a 32.1% fund balance, I guess I'm being the encourager here. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Trustee LaValle. All those in favor, say yes, Trustee McClenny.
Hate to bust that bubble. I appreciate my colleague's comments, but I'm always going to be on this side, only because of what she said earlier, where I was at earlier when we were down to single digits. And I don't ever want to see the district like that. So 34 is great, 32, under 30, no. I'm just keeping it real, because we were in a real bad situation, and a lot of people didn't pay attention to how bad of a situation we were in. So while I appreciate the fact that we do have the ability to spend some money, I'm always going to be that one sitting here going, oh.
And I'll qualify that if needed. I mean, it is one of those things where we can be too conservative and we don't have the feature of, I don't think that's the word I want to use, but it's for our kids. And our kids need to feel the ability to have some nice things come their way. And I am ever so thankful to have a fund balance like this, because it's taken a long time for us to get there, and we will protect it, but it is for the kids.
Any other discussions or comments?
And I guess hearing the discussion between you two, it's hard for the district to know what direction to go in. So I know our policy says 10%, but we need to come up with, as a board, what number we will say, no, that's the floor. We don't have to update policy, because I know that's a lot of work, but is it 20%? Is it 30%? I think we should get aligned on that. Not now. We got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about tonight. But that's something we should think about.
Why not, Doctor?
Giving that guidance, because that's, right now I just heard two different things, and how are they supposed to move forward with that? So I would just say we do need to talk about that and figure out what is our number that we're comfortable with, and as a board decide that.
Yes, Dr. McClenny?
Since
you're the doctor on this one.
Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that we shouldn't spend money, and I think we're saying the same thing. It's just that I don't see, well, it's just Catherine, and all I'm saying is I'm extremely cautious because the state was here.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was sitting in that seat
Oh, my.
when all that was taking place. And I don't wish that on anybody. And that's all I'm saying. Yes.
Healthy discretion.
Yeah, we do need to give, I think we're saying the same thing.
You are, but you said 30, and I'm like, that's
Well,
still conservative in my mind. So that's why I think I was reading into your comment where I was like, it's still a little bit conservative. So I just think we need to have a number above that.
That's wise.
And that's where 30 is where, well, see there, Kim said, don't say what we used to do. I'm saying it. Way back before our budget was
Back in my
by
day.
anybody. Hey, we had a healthy district back in the day, and then you know this from your father. Our district blew a lot of money,
Call for the question.
so we were healthy, so.
Okay, call for the question. Are those? Motion on the floor to approve the 2024-2025 preliminary general fund budget. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Thank you for everyone's comments, though. We need to be mindful of that. Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion regarding the 2024-2025 preliminary supplemental budget, fund budgets.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright?
I move that we approve the 2024-2025 preliminary supplemental fund budget.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee LaValle, been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee LaValle, that we approve the 2024-2025 preliminary supplemental fund budgets. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion for the consideration to go into closed session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation.
Madam President,
Yes, trustee Fulbright.
I move that we go into closed session.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee Fulbright, supported by trustee LaValle, that we go into closed session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried.
Got 30 minutes.
That green light
It's Kalita doing it.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for waiting for us. We will now convene our meeting, and I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of improvement of the superintendent's evaluation. She was rated effective.
Madam President,
Yes, Fulbright?
I'm,
Trustee Fulbright? You're tired, man.
okay. I move that we approve the superintendent evaluation.
Board.
It's been moved by Trustee Fulbright, supported by Trustee McClenny, that we approve the superintendent's evaluation. Is there any discussion?
Do we need a roll call vote for this? Okay.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Superintendent Dr. Carter, on behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to thank you for a job well done, and we expect so much more out of you.
Right.
We'll now move on to superintendent comments.
First, I'd like to quickly acknowledge and correct an error in the recognition of one of our district retirees. Mr. Steve Anderson is a special education teacher that's retiring from Valley View. I think I said Verona. And so I want to thank him for his service to our students over the many years and wish all of the retirees best in their retirement. I also just want to quickly acknowledge that our district team had a great time joining the Juneteenth celebration at Claude Evans Park, and I have to personally thank all the staff that took time out of their weekend to man the booth, talk with families, meet with alumni, and just say hello. It was a great day. I'm also looking forward to the upcoming National Day of Summer Learning celebration. That is on Friday, July 26th from 12 to 4 in Claude Evans Park. This event is now a combination of two events that have been held separately in the past, the Summer Learning Celebration and the Healthy Living Carnival. Our partners from Grace Health and KidNet are proudly collaborating to bring this event to our community, and we are excited to join them again. And then finally, I'd love to just celebrate the fact that we have more than 600 students enrolled in Bearcat Blast this year. However, I'd also like to take a moment to encourage every BCPS student, whether you're enrolled in summer learning or not, to continue reading over the summer. And once again, we look forward to returning to school on Wednesday, August 21st. And we will be back at a half day. I know we just ended, but I'm always going to remind you because we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Any board member comments? Seeing none. Oh, Trustee LaValle?
Just want to congratulate our retirees and wish them all the best in their next stage of life. Be happy.
Any other board member comments? Thank you so much. Anything to come else before the board? Seeing nothing else. Meeting's adjourned.
Hold on, it's still on.
We're still green.
Still on.
Wait.
Keep smiling, everybody.